This report says the intervention relied on flawed intelligence and hastened what we've seen as a fairly fast decline into chaos, really, in Libya. Do you agree with that assessment?
No, I do not. I think this is frankly, a very shoddy report, very superficial, with some serious omissions, and I think it comes to some really profoundly wrong judgments that I find quite puzzling.
In what way?
Well, because I think that the British policy towards intervention in Libya was essentially the right one. You know, I think that when this happened, the reason Britain intervened was to prevent a massacre in Benghazi, which was very imminent. And, you know, let's not forget that Gaddafi has a track record of using extreme violence against his own people. For example, in 1996, he killed something like 1,200 people in Abu Salim prison. So this was a very real threat, and we stepped in to prevent that. Subsequently, Libya descended into chaos, but I don't think you can lay this at the door of the UK. There were many mitigating factors, and it's easy to be wise in hindsight, but it was the best move at the time.
In terms of planning, however, for what happened after Gaddafi fell, or after the intervention, it's pretty clear from what's happened in Libya. There are a number of competing interests within that country. Was it not always perhaps inevitable in such a huge country, a lot of different tribal alliances, a relatively small population spread out over a huge geographical area, that it was going to be very difficult to keep it together?
Of course. Of course, Gaddafi had eviscerated the country for 40 years, and before him there was Mussolini. So Libya has known nothing but dictatorship. You know, the country has got many problems. You know, it was never going to be easy. But you know, this is not the UK's fault. You know, this is not David Cameron's fault. We don't have a magic wand. We can't see the future. You know, all we can do is try and prevent genocide, and we were successful in that respect. And it was legal. You know, it was backed by the UN. It was not like Iraq. There was a proper decision-making in place in the British government, and the long-term political consequences are still too early to tell. I mean, what would happen if we had not gone in? There would have been a genocide. Gaddafi would still be in power. You know, then would that be better?
What constructively needs to be done now to get Libya back on track? The latest signs are that, again, this alternative government based in the east, again, gaining ground. The chaos continues. Where do we need to go from here?
Well, the situation in Libya is very alarming. I mean, you know, we're going in the wrong direction. I mean, the latest news is that there's reports that the UAE airplanes are bombing the internationally backed government in some of the areas around the oil fields. So, you know, the situation is completely out of control. What needs to be done is the militias need to be disarmed, and there needs to be a political consensus amongst all Libyans. But at the moment, this is far from happening. And one of the reasons why is because other countries in the region are interfering in Libyan affairs, as they always have done, they have done since the revolution. And this has to stop if Libya is ever going to find its equilibrium and become a normal, functional country again.